Hey everybody, and welcome back to RHEM 2. I'm going to go ahead and start walking here as we talk about our itinerary for the day, because we got a lot on our plate, and we got a long way to go until we get back to where we were. That includes the elevator maze. Yeah, because remember, we left elevator A down at the very bottom, and we have to go back down there and get it, bring it to the top, in order to even get back down to where we need to go to get to the second part of the cave. So, that'll give us a lot of time to talk about some stuff that I wanted to go over, and I'm just going to attach a little disclaimer to this. In real life, especially at work, I feel like I have a tendency, according to some people, to overcomplicate everything, especially when I try to explain stuff. So I'm going to try not to do that here. I'm working on it, but I'm a work in progress, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to I'm going to try to make this explanation manageable, is what I'm trying to say. Because we've got a lot of stuff to do, and a lot of different clues that we've been picking up, and we're kind of getting to the point in the game where a lot of these clues are going to be gathered around and used in different places, some of which are not exactly where we found them, and it's already started. But this video is going to have a lot more of that. We're going to see a lot more of the connections between various places established. So let's divide stuff into the blue tower and the green tower, because we're not going to even worry about the underground railway now. We're just going to worry about the two towers. That's all we're going to think about right now. So with that in mind, let's start with the blue tower. Remember, we got this fuse thing in the glass maze at toward the end of the last video. That looks like that's going to fit that box that's at the very end of the hallway on the 4th floor of the blue tower. We don't exactly know what that powers yet, but at least we can solve that puzzle, because we can get to that area where we can look at where all the wires go beneath those levers we can set. So yeah, that's going to help a lot. But it's the green tower that's going to be the big killer here. Now, I said in the last video that a lot of people consider the glass maze to be the hardest thing in the game. Personally, I disagree, and I know this is just 100% opinionated, but the puzzles in that green tower, I think, are much harder, just because there's way more information. And we need to check out what's in here, because we haven't even looked at this yet. And we opened this door from that control panel, I guess up there? I forgot exactly where it was, but it was somewhere around here. This kind of looks familiar. This almost looks like that same cylinder that was blocking our path on the 4th floor of the green tower. I wonder if we can rotate this. Doesn't exactly work. But it seems like the control out there is hooked up to these 3 wires, and each of the wires is hooked up to one of these control panels, where apparently we can set a color, and we can set this... I don't even know what to call this. This isn't exactly a clock, because it's got more than 12 positions. But it looks like it forms these kind of arcs between sets of up from 2 up to 5 lines. Interesting. And also we've got what looks like a flux capacitor and various combinations of circles at the ends. Well, we haven't seen any of these things at all. I mean, none of this looks familiar except for the numbers up here, which seem to resemble the numbers that were inside the big round cave in the green cavern, or the green tower. Now, a lot of people call that cavern the crystal cavern. When I played the game, I didn't realize that those were crystals that were at each of those 3 points that we could get to along the train. But yeah, they are. So I'm just going to call that now for expediency's sake, and not the goopy cavern. I mean, that just sounds kind of silly. So yeah, I'll call it the crystal cavern from this point on. I still will refer to that entire area as the green tower, though. But so the crystal cavern is what I'll call that round, goopy area. Let's make sure we get elevator C back down to its bottom position here. But anyway, the really evil thing about that whole area is what I'm having to go through right now. The very fact that we have to go all the way back to the start and go back inside the green tower just to get to that area below where the tram was at the very start of the 3rd floor. I would never have thought of that. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that is just really devious. I mean, maybe I would have thought of it if I were stuck on this game for months, but I mean, the game is structured such that, I mean, when you feel exhausted, you know, from one puzzle, you go to another one and you assume that maybe there's something for that puzzle that you haven't figured out yet. I mean, if you were to do this blind, it would take a long time until you realize that you were absolutely stuck with no recourse. Or maybe I'm just missing obvious stuff, I don't know. But personally, I found this particular part of the puzzle hard, and the difficulty does not end there, by the way. It definitely goes on and on and on. But we'll get to it in this video, and we'll go through everything. But you'll see why I think that this was a pretty tough puzzle, because it involves a lot of different steps. But to make things worse, remember that button that we saw when we first entered the green tower on the 3rd floor that had the blue border around it, and we pushed it and there was a sorry noise? Yeah, that button calls the tram if it's not there. So, when I first played the game and I went back, you know, this was after I realized, yeah, you know, I need to actually check this out, you know, and send the tram to the glass maze, go through the pipe, come back here, do all that stuff. And then I go back there. What makes it even crazier is that the button flashes when the tram's completely gone. So, you know, it compels you to press it. And then, you know, completely unsuspecting, you know, you press the button, and sure enough, the tram just goes right back there, making all of this elevator labyrinth stuff completely fruitless, and you have to go through the glass maze, pipe, and elevator stuff all over again. Yeah, it's really irritating, and I wish that it was designed a bit differently, but it's alright. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and solve the blue grotto stuff right now, because we have all the stuff we need, like I mentioned earlier. So, before we go back up to the 4th floor, I'm going to go up here to where we can see the tangle of wires to determine where we need to set all these levers. Now, the gold wires start from over here, and in the end, they end in this area right here, under where the fuse needs to go. So let's see. Let's start over here. This is north, so it goes into here, so that means that we really need to set this lever to the left by default, since it needs to connect to this in the first place. Now, the middle pipe is what the power goes through once it enters a given thingy here. So, I guess I can call this a station, direction station, I don't know what to call it, but it goes through the middle one in any case. So let's follow that pipe. It goes up to here, and this one would have to be set to left again to connect here. So let's follow the middle one again. And this one's also set to left, so this goes up here and into the fuse box area. So everything on the north side is set to left. That makes things super easy. On the south side, though, we need to set this to the right to make sure that it connects out here. And then let's follow this one. It doesn't even touch this one. Okay. And then it goes up here, and this should be set to the left so it can go through here and onto the fuse box. So we just need to set this one to the right and not even worry about this at all, and then the final one to the left. Alright, it doesn't really matter what that middle one is, I guess, so I guess that's just a red herring. And for some reason we can look up. Psst! Remember that. That's gonna be important. Alright, so let's go upstairs to the 4th floor and see what we can do. Yay, I actually remembered which direction to go. Awesome sauce. Okay, let's set a direction for this thing just so we can get the combination. Okay, so it's the 5th one, and it's green, which is 7. Yep, it's 7. Okay, I just checked my notes. We've seen enough panels around this whole area to know what each of the numbers are for each of the different combinations, so thankfully we don't have to approach that completely blind. I suppose you could just find one of these ones nearby and just keep pressing the button until it ended up in the slot that applied, but yeah, I'm not doing that. I wanted to make sure you guys saw the panels, and I think we saw the panels. I don't think I missed one, but if you didn't see 8, just let me know, and I'll let you know where to find it. I don't even have to worry about that one. And that's okay, and that's okay. So let's put the fuse in the box. and see if we were correct. Well, that sounds like a good sound. But now the question is, what in the world did we just power? Well, if we were just to take this tower, the only thing that I can really think of is the Blue Grotto, since it is kind of dark down there, and we were able to look up at the ceiling, but we couldn't see anything. So let's go down there and check to see what we can find. And I actually believe there's a way you can figure this out other than just that sort of logic. Yep, it's definitely brighter in here, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, there's this power box thing that looks like it has a skull on it or something, and I believe the wires go inside there, into this area. I'm not entirely sure, but I think when you see the gold wires that lead to the fuse box, you're supposed to notice these, I think, that are down there, because you can't see above that until you turn the lights on. But anyway, we got a bunch of stuff we can look at now. We have symbols on the wall, and let's see what's on the ceiling that we missed earlier. It kind of looks like a spider web sort of design. Well, that's curious, because earlier when we were in the glass maze, we had that rotating cylinder thing that had a bunch of these kind of designs on it. And we used one of those designs to come up with a combination order for various symbols that had 8 different positions. And whenever we pulled the lever next to the rotating cylinder that had these designs on them, it shone a bunch of different lights in those 8 different spots in the order that they needed to be shown in. We also noticed that there were different orders depending on what design was on the cylinder as well. So how exactly does that help us here? Well, remember, we've got this combination lock over here that has these symbols, and these happen to be the ones that are plastered all over this entire room. So if we were to, say, get an order of lights and stand in the right position, which I think is not that. I think it's here. No. This one? I don't know. I'll figure it out. I think it's this one. If we were able to stand in the right position that matches what's on the cylinder, and we got the order of lights, we can apply the positions of the lights to the various positions of the symbols around the room. So it's kind of a large-scale version of what we did in the glass maze earlier. But we'll get to that later, because right now what I want to do next is go over to the Crystal Cavern area and see what we uncovered by sending that tram away. We'll come back to the Blue Grotto stuff a little bit later on, but, wait a minute, it's on the 3rd floor, isn't it? Yeah, here we go. And like I said, the button is flashing, and it's even making noises at us. I mean, it's practically beckoning us to press it, which, like I said, it just makes things really, really annoying if you were to fall for that. Anyhow, let's go under here and see what the train was covering up. Well, we got a button over there. We've got a door that we can't open. But it seems like the button slides a door across. So what exactly did that do? Well, the only place that we know of where there's a metal door that was blocking our path that could be slid was over on the first level of the Green Tower. We only went there once, back when we first started exploring this whole section, but we were blocked by this metal door over here. So let's see if that's gone now. It is, okay. Well, let's see what we can do here with this. Looks like we found another train of some sort. I keep saying of some sort. I keep saying of some sort, I keep saying ultimately, I keep saying it seems like, I know. There's a bunch of things I keep repeating throughout this LP. I'm gonna try to work on that, because honestly, I hate being one of those people who says the same stuff over and over and over again. I know it can get kind of annoying when you're listening to this. Well, let's see what we found here. Some kind of hatch. There we go, I did it again. And we're back in the Crystal Cavern. And we are on the south side of the cavern, right behind where the boarded door is. So this is the area that we could not reach earlier. And we've also got some kind of, there I go again, screen. Well, it seems like we found the corresponding control panel that tells us more about this thing. But I'm not really seeing anything special on this, just a bunch of lights or amoebas or I don't know, something. And actually it is a moot point to be fiddling around this for now, just because we haven't even tuned all these crystals yet. Remember when we were experimenting with them earlier, we heard a boop 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 sound, and nothing worked. So until we activate all of them, there's really no sense in doing that. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and... Oh, wait a minute. There was one more thing I meant to do up here, and I totally forgot it. You have to close the hatch. Yeah, pretty sneaky. I have to say I missed this the first time I played the game. But what is here is rather intriguing. It's another one of these diagrams that shows 12 pieces of a pie, and it has various shapes located around it. Now, the last time we saw one of these was on the back of the train that went around the cavern, and we saw a symbol that looked like a square and a triangle together. So let's keep this in mind. Sadly, part of it's been torn off, but, well, let's hope we don't need it. Or maybe the other part of it is somewhere around here. Let's see, I don't think we can look at anything else around here, so let's go ahead and head back. Now there's another area here that we haven't looked at yet. And it's the metal door that we saw from here when we visited under the tram area earlier. I guess we can't control this thing anymore, it just kind of rolled down when we entered the room. So, what's the point of doing this? We just came back here. Is there any purpose to this? Well, actually there is. If we can make a loop around, maybe we can see something under the train when it comes back down through here. So let's call it back. I guess this orange light is trying to tell you not to step out in there while it's traveling back. There we go. And now that it's there in position, let's go ahead and head back to the first floor and see if we can see something under it. This is yet another one of those devious things that I never would have thought of. It's kind of reminiscent of the sort of thing you'd find in the first RHEM, but I think what's really insidious about this is that you normally don't have this sort of puzzle in this game, and then to have it thrown at you is just kind of a bit of a shock. Still, if there is one thing I do appreciate about this, it is the difficulty curve. It does start out pretty gently, and then it just escalates as you go further on. Alright, so let's climb back up this ladder and see what's here. And we've got another one of these pies, and this time we've got a bunch of numbers, pairs of numbers actually, in each slice. We've also got this same symbol here with an arrow pointing in a certain direction. Now remember that set of control panels that we saw along the Crystal Cavern train routes that had the shape and then it had the sets of numbers to put after it? Well, believe it or not, we've actually got all the information we need to solve that puzzle. Let me explain how this works. Now remember, on the very first panel or diagram thingy that we found on the back of the tram, we saw the locations of the crystals. We also saw the locations of one of the symbols that dotted this entire circle. The second drawing that we saw on the hatch showed us more symbols, and it gave us this arrow for reference. And finally, this one shows us where all the numbers are. Now, what you have to figure out here is that the gaps between the symbols that we saw on the drawing that was on the hatch are filled by combining the symbols together on either side. So that square with a triangle inside of it was supposed to indicate that a symbol on each side was a square and a triangle. Yeah, it is kind of a little confusing, but once you figure it out, it's not actually that bad. So, let me just show you what all the numbers are that we're dealing with using this as a reference. The first crystal is, let's see, this one, 8-2. And using the symbols that we saw on the hatch diagram, this has a hexagon and an hourglass. The second crystal is just a plain square, and that one is over here at 2 and 4. Now, between the second and the third crystal was the square and the triangle, which means that the third crystal is the triangle, which is here at 1 and 9. So that's how you arrive at all of the positions of the crystals. It's a pretty tough puzzle, but it is a fair one though, and it did stump me for a long time. So now that we've got the tram back to the starting point on the third floor, I'm going to go ahead and head back that way and go around to that control panel area and input all of these values in there. And we should be pretty much home free, at least for this portion of the puzzle. I say that just because there is more. Alright, so let's go back in here and start going around again. Okay, this is the place. Good stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and do number 1, which is the hourglass and hexagon, with 8 and 2 as the coordinates. Number 2 is the square, which has 2 and 4 as the coordinates, and finally, this is just the triangle with 1 and 9. There we go. Sweet. And we got this all connected now. So now we should be able to just go around the cavern and turn on all the various little consoles there for the crystals. But before we do that, I'm actually going to go and visit the glass maze first, because I want to get that stuff for the blue grotto. I'm going to go ahead and just take care of this first here. Yeah, now you can see the actual crystals here. And by pressing this, we get part of the solution to that puzzle down by the elevator maze. So crystal number 1 has a flux capacitor with no circles. Alright, let's just briefly go in here and just check out. I'm not going to stay in here for long, so don't worry. I just want to check out this room, and let's see, the combination is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. Okay, so let's see which of these... Oh wait, I had to pull the lever to rotate it, that's right. My bad. Okay. Not that one. This one, okay, so I actually had it wrong when I was looking in the blue grotto earlier, so it's configured this way. Let's see, 1 over there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we're going to look at these points around the room in that order to get the symbols, the symbol order that we need. Good stuff, good stuff. Alright, I'm going to head back to the Crystal Cavern here because I completely forgot to do this the right way, I just realized. Because pressing that button wasn't enough, we actually have to press it until this thing quiets down. There we go, that's what we need to do, and we get this really creepy sound there. But that's the correct symbol that we need, not the empty one. That was my mistake. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue going around and tuning the rest of these things. Don't worry guys, we're almost done with this puzzle. We are almost there, I can feel it. There we go, that one has all 3 circles. Cool. Alright, so now let's go to the last one and take care of it. And after that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and head back over to that control panel on the south side and see if it picks up where the crystals are now that we're tuning them. Man, this one's really shiny. There we go. Alright, so all of them are now tuned. Good stuff. Alright, so I'm going to go back down to the first floor again. Climb up through that hatch after going through the train, and we should be in business. I know this is a lot of walking around, but it'll be over soon, trust me. We're nearing the very end, by the way. I should mention that. Okay. I guess I didn't have to do that, but why not? Okay, so now we've got lines here that we can see. And we can see the red one there. Okay, so the red crystal appears at these 2 points here. If this were... Let's see, well, I'll make this 1 o'clock. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it appears between 7 and 8. Now, here's what's kind of a little tricky about this. On the control panel down by the elevator maze, this is actually not red, this is magenta. So, yeah, that's kind of a little odd, but as long as you get that little detail down, you should be good. Okay, the green one appears between 9 and 10. And let's see here. We just need to find the blue one. Oh, we can't go any further. Okay, so we're going to have to go all the way back. I thought you could go all the way around indefinitely. Okay, so you can't do that. Well, this ought to be fun. We can go back and relive some of the fond memories of looking at the crystals and stuff. Okay, hopefully it's around here somewhere, because this is about the place where we started. There it is. Okay, so it covers 3 o'clock all the way to 7. Wow, okay. So we've gotten all the little range arc thingies that we can put in that control panel, so we've pretty much got all the information we need for that puzzle now. But before we do that, I'm going to stop by the Blue Grotto again and take care of that puzzle over there. And there we go. But first, one last train ride along this thing. Okay, the good news is that we just need to go up one floor, so that's not bad. Alright, so Blue Grotto, not there. We'll go there in a minute, but we need to take care of this little bit of business first. Okay, so let's take a look at this thing up in the ceiling again. It's not this direction, I think it's... no, it's the opposite direction. There we go, I think this is correct. So from here, we can determine where all the different positions of the symbols are, and what order they need to be pressed in. So let's see, symbol number 1, just getting my notes out here, was this one. Was it this one? This one, my bad. Is this one. Number 2 was this one, and so on and so forth. I'm not really going to go through all that. I'll just press them in the right order. Let's see, 9. Wait, did we have it on that the whole time? Okay, it's 7. Okay, I thought it was 9. Okay, it's actually 7. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It worked, and we got another piece of this puzzle. Good deal. Okay, so with that being done, all we need to do now is just go back to that control panel by the elevator maze, and not through that door, but through this one. And input all the information we've collected, which is just right over here. But once again, we're going to need to do some riding around in elevators, so get ready for that. I feel like right now it's pretty much just grunt work, so there really isn't a whole lot to talk about. I suppose I could pose a question of the day. How about this? And the sound just went out there. What is the hardest puzzle that you've ever solved? It can be anything. Sudokus, board games. Well, I guess board games don't typically have puzzles, but, you know, video games, I mean, whatever. I mean, what's the hardest thing that you've had to solve? And I'm going to have to go up through this again, too, aren't I? Alright. So we just need to go back to the... There goes the sound again. That's really odd. I actually remember it did this to me when I first played the game as well, so that must be some kind of bug. We still don't have a thing for that. So we just need to head around here to the north side of elevator A. And go down. That is just really bizarre. I don't know what happened there. I mean, I suppose it's not as jarring as suddenly having music here and hearing some, you know, smooth jazz in the elevator, but still, it is kind of a little strange. Alright, so let's input all the stuff. For one, we'll put cyan, and, wait, is that actually that? No, it's back a bit. I said back a bit. Here we go. And that should be correct, and this has... the 2 from, yeah, there we go. And then this one is magenta. Like that. And this one we need to set between 7 and 8 on this dial thing. So 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 through 6, 3 through 4, 3 through 7, 4 to 8, 5 to 9, 6... Okay, that should be correct. And this one has all 3 circles on the flux capacitor highlighted. Alright, so 3, we've got bright green for this one. This one, I'm actually just going to go backwards for this because I think that'll be faster in the end. I wish you could hold these down to scroll through them. That would be nice. Alright, and this just has the lone circle in the bottom left. There we go. Let's see if this thing will rotate. It did. Sweet. Okay, so now all we need to do is go all the way back up to the top floor in the 3 tower area, go into the green tower, and hopefully we can access a new area. Just need to retrace our steps through all the elevators and we should be good. And we get to listen to the quiet hum of nothing. I have no idea what I meant by that, but whatever. I just turned around there. That was weird. So at this point, after we solve this puzzle, all we have left to do in this game is the final stuff in the foyer section. That's pretty much all we've got left, as well as that slot area that we just saw up there. Other than that, I don't think there's really much else in the way of loose ends that we need to tie up. We've pretty much got this whole thing made. At the very least, we've conquered the hardest stuff, I feel. Okay, we finally made it back. And to think that we're going to have to go through the elevators yet again. Yeah, not looking forward to it if I may be honest, but oh well. Okay, so let's proceed up to the top floor. Excuse me. Not that way, this way. And let's see if we can actually access anything new. We can, and it looks like we found the area behind that crack in the wall that we saw inside the crystal cave. And there is another piece. So I think that brings it up to 4. Yeah, we got 4 pieces now. So with these in hand, we are now equipped to take on the final challenges of the game, and I'll take care of those in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this video was kind of a little bit tedious and probably a little bit uninteresting in places, but thank you for sticking it through to the end. I will see you guys next time. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button, and I will see you on the flip side. So take care, guys, and I will see you then.